For many years, the question of when Apple would make its first foldable iPhone remained one of the most discussed topics in the tech world, but the company stayed silent, which made every leak feel like a fragment of a larger hidden picture. And today, when leading sources such as Bloomberg, The Information, ET News, and display market analysts from DSCC are simultaneously reporting that Apple has accelerated development of a foldable device expected to launch in 2026, it becomes clear that the company is preparing a product capable not just of catching up with the market, but of changing the competitive rules themselves. The industry is sliding toward a new bifurcation point, and Apple, as always, wants to enter it not first, but best. According to all major insiders, the first foldable iPhone already exists in the form of engineering prototypes that are being tested inside the company's labs and at supply chain partners. According to ET News, Apple is working on two form factors at once: a vertical flip-style device similar to the Galaxy Z Flip, and a horizontal fold-style device that opens into a small tablet. Bloomberg clarifies that both directions are being developed in parallel, because Apple views the foldable iPhone not simply as another smartphone, but as a logical extension of the ecosystem, where the mobile device becomes the interaction hub for visionOS and future AR products. And although Apple does not publicly confirm the project, the volume of leaks over the past 2 years shows that this development has long passed the experimental stage. The main challenge Apple is trying to solve is reliability. Unlike Android manufacturers, who can afford early adoption of technologies that are not fully polished, Apple historically does not release products that could trigger even the smallest quality-related scandal. This is why, as The Information reports, the company repeatedly postponed its internal development schedules because the flexible OLED panels supplied by Samsung Display and LG Display did not meet Apple's requirements for durability, crease visibility, and resistance to temperature deformation. Insiders from Bloomberg report that Apple wants to achieve an extremely shallow crease, so small that it becomes visually unnoticeable in normal use. And this is one reason the company is developing its own multi-point stress distribution method for flexible panels. At the same time, according to DSCC, Apple is testing a new hinge design that uses a complex multi-line load distribution system meant to prevent excessive wear in the central folding area. The company is also researching materials that perform better under constant mechanical stress, which explains Apple's collaboration with LG on flexible glass composites that could replace current UTG solutions used in Samsung's foldable devices. However, the technical side is only half the story. The bigger intrigue around the foldable iPhone lies in how Apple intends to integrate it into its ecosystem. According to Bloomberg and Mark Gurman, the foldable iPhone will not simply be a regular iPhone with a flexible display. Instead, Apple sees it as the first step toward an entirely new device category: hybrids of iPhone and iPad that can change their usage scenarios depending on the mode they are in. When folded, it is a classic compact iPhone, and when unfolded, a miniature tablet capable of running an adapted version of iPadOS or a new layer that merges elements of both the mobile and tablet systems. This strategy aligns with the direction Apple has been moving in recent years. visionOS, iPadOS, and macOS are becoming increasingly connected, and a foldable device could become the bridge between them. Apple is already testing how the foldable iPhone interacts with Vision Pro. According to The Information, some internal prototypes can use the unfolded layout as a portable workspace display for visionOS, turning the phone into an extension of the AR ecosystem. This means the foldable iPhone not only introduces a new form factor, but also builds the foundation for integrated computing of the future, where Apple devices operate as a single organism. Another major question is what the design of the foldable iPhone might be. Leaks from Nikkei Asia and MacRumors indicate that Apple is leaning toward a device with an unfolded screen between 7.4 to 8 inches, roughly the size of an iPad mini. This is also supported by the supply chain. LG Display and Samsung Display have already received Apple's requests for panels in this size range. At the same time, the device's thickness in folded mode must be smaller than current Android foldables. Apple treats this as a critical element of the user experience. The company does not want the device to feel like two smartphones stacked together, which is why it is developing a new segmented battery architecture that reduces overall thickness. According to Barclays analysts, Apple is also experimenting with a magnetic mechanism to keep both halves firmly aligned, making the device feel solid when closed rather than hollow in the center, a problem seen in some competitors. As for the name, insiders agree that Apple has not made a final decision. The most discussed options are iPhone Flip and iPhone Fold. These names have appeared in supplier reports, but there is no direct confirmation that Apple has finalized them. However, the company's naming patterns suggest that a vertical form factor would most likely be called Flip, and a horizontal one, Fold. Several Bloomberg sources also note that Apple wants to distance the device from the regular lineup and is considering a new series designation to emphasize the transition into a new category. The impact of a foldable iPhone on the market could be far greater than it appears. Even though Samsung, Huawei, and Motorola have been selling foldables for years, the segment remains niche, about 1.5 to 2% of the global smartphone market. The main reason is the lack of a quality standard that sets a mass market trend. This is exactly what Apple does best. Whenever the company enters a new category, it expands the audience dramatically. This happened with tablets, smartwatches, and wireless earbuds. Bloomberg reports that the release of a foldable iPhone could increase the market 3 to 4 times within 2 years, because Apple users are more inclined to buy expensive next-generation devices, and developers will immediately adapt their apps. A crucial factor is integration with Apple's ecosystem. The foldable iPhone will be able to run professional apps in unfolded mode, for example Final Cut, Logic, or full-scale graphic editors, which will let it compete with tablets. According to IDC, this could reshape the market. Future Apple foldables may partially replace the iPad mini and even entry-level iPad Air models. And while Vision Pro is an essential part of Apple's long-term future, mass adoption of AR devices will take several years. The foldable iPhone becomes an intermediate step. It expands smartphone usage scenarios, creates a new level of user engagement, and paves the way for devices that can change shape not only when opened, but dynamically, as described in several Apple patents. In this sense, the foldable iPhone is not just Apple's response to Samsung. It is the architectural platform of the future. It connects Apple's mobile ecosystem with its tablet and AR ecosystems, creates a new market, reshapes how users perceive the form factor, and forces the entire industry to rethink its development strategies. And if the leaks turn out to be true, 2026 will mark the moment when Apple once again intervenes in the evolution of mobile devices and does what it does best. Not invent a device first, but reinvent the category so thoroughly that it has to be rewritten from scratch.